everyone! My name is Lucky Chedupali, and today I will be showing you how to divide complex numbers. To start off, what are complex numbers? Well, a complex number is any number that can be written as a plus bi, where I is the imaginary unit and a and b are real numbers. A by itself is considered the real part of the number, and b is called the imaginary part of the number. When we combine a real number and an imaginary number, we get a complex number. However, it's important that you know that either part can value 0, so all real numbers and all imaginary numbers itself can also be defined as complex numbers. For more information about complex numbers and their applications, check out my previous video. So, let's solve an example. Say we were asked to divide the complex numbers 5 plus 5i divided by 1 minus 4i. So first let's write out the problem. So first, we would need to multiply the numerator and denominator by 1 plus 4i. And we multiply the numerator and denominator by this complex number because that is the complex conjugate of 1 minus 4i. Now, multiply both complex numbers. Here, you can use any method you would like, whether it's the box method or the FOIL method, but to show you guys how to solve it clearly, I will be using the box method. First, let's multiply the numerator. So, 5 plus 5i and 1 plus 4i. So, 5 times 1 would equal 5. 1 times 5i would be 5i. 5 times 4i would be 20i. And 4i times 5i would be 20i squared. So let's write the terms together. 5 plus 5i plus 20i equals 25i plus 20i squared. Now remember, I squared is equivalent to -1. If you don't know how to solve that, make sure to check out my previous video about imaginary numbers, but since I squared is -1, this equation would equal 5 plus 25i plus 20 times -1. But to simplify, since I equals square root of -1, I squared would equal -1. So since the equation is now 5 plus 25i plus -20, we can combine 5 and -20 to get -15 plus 25i. So this would be our numerator. Now let's solve for the denominator. The denominator is just a plus b times a minus b format. So 1 or a minus b times a plus b. So 1 minus 4i times 1 plus 4i. So 1 times 1 is obviously 1. 1 times -4i is still -4i. 1 times 4i is 4i. And 4i times negative 4i would be negative 16i squared. Now let's rewrite this. Since 4i minus 4i is 0, we can just ignore that and we would get 1 plus negative 16i squared. And once again, we know that I squared is equivalent to negative 1. This would just be 1 plus negative 16 times negative 1. And that would be equivalent to 1 plus 16, my bad. So 1 plus 16 equals 17. Therefore, our denominator would equal 17. So 5 plus 5i over 1 minus 4i would be equivalent to negative 15 plus 25i over 17. So let's take another example, say 3 plus 5i divided by 1 plus 2i. Once again, let's write down the problem. And now we would multiply the numerator and denominator by 1 minus 2i, because the complex conjugate of 1 plus 2i would be 1 minus 2i. Once again, you can multiply the numerator and denominator using any method such as the FOIL, box, anything else, but here I'll be using the box method again to more explain to you how to exactly solve it in a more clear way. So first let's multiply the numerator, 3 plus 5i times 1 minus 2i. So 3 times 1 is 3, 5i times 1 is still 5i, 3 times negative 2i would be negative 6i, and 5i times negative 2i would be negative 10i squared. So let's write this out. So negative 6i plus 5i would be negative I. So let's write this out. 3 plus negative I minus 10i squared. And once again, we know that I squared is equal to negative 1, so we can write this as 3 minus I minus 10, plus negative 10 times negative 1, which would be 3 plus I plus 10, which is just 13 plus I. 13 minus I, sorry, because we previously got negative I. So this would be our numerator. So let's write this out. Now let's solve the denominator, which would just be the format a plus b times a minus b. So that's 1 plus 2i times 1 minus 2i. So we know that 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 2i is still 2i, 1 times negative 2i is still negative 2i, and negative 2i times positive 2i would be negative 4i. So let's write this out. We know that 2i and negative 2i would just cancel each other out, so we would have 1 plus negative 4i. And once again, we know that I squared, it would be negative 4i squared, is equal to negative 1, so it would be 1 plus negative 4 times negative 1. And that would be 1 plus positive 4, which would be 5. So we know our denominator equals 5. So we now know that 3 plus 5i divided by 1 plus 2i equals 13 minus I over 5. Thank you for listening to my presentation about how to divide complex numbers and using different methods to divide it, and I hope you learned from it. Hopefully now you're able to efficiently and quickly divide complex numbers. Thank you. Simply solve them. Once again, thank you. And if you still need help about imaginary numbers, make sure to check out my video about that. And if you want to learn how to add and multiply complex numbers, you can also check out my video about complex numbers. Once again, thank you. Bye.